The United States is not collapsing. It's running exactly how it was set up to run, and it's doing exactly what it was designed to do. I know that people, friends, family, and those far and wide think that I might be a conspiracy theorist, and you might be true. But one of my longest held conspiracy theories that I read online well over 20 years ago was an entire website that said the Shadow Country. This website got taken down not long after I read it and not long after I documented it, but it was a a largely held conspiracy that the United States was very intentionally set up and discovered by people in Europe, Africa, Asia, mainly Europe. The United States was set up as a shadow country, so they could pull the puppet strings from afar, they could extract all the resources, all the labor, and they could skirt all of the blame for the atrocities that the United States was committing around the world on the behalf of the people, the puppet masters, who set up the shadow country. This is not the first time. The United States is just one of many empires that have been set up intelligently and intentionally so that they could control things and commit atrocities from afar. They could extract the gold from afar, they could extract the labor from afar, and they could skirt the blame for everything. And once they've ran its course, once that situation, that demographic of people, once they finally catch on, once they get so mad that they revolt and the empire collapses, they just shift and rename it. That's all they do. It's the same as corporations when they file bankruptcy or they need to change or they need to skip town because they screwed over their customers. They don't shut down the business as a whole. They just change the location, change the title, and maybe switch around the ownership so it's a little harder to find the paper trail. But again, the United States is not sick. The United States is not running amok and collapsing and falling apart. And what's going on? The United States is running exactly as it was meant to run when it was first set up. So you might think that your problem is the brown person down the street or your black neighbor or God knows who. That's what the media will convince you the problem is. What you don't realize is it might be the person that looks like me or someone with my skin tone from Europe. They might never even set foot in this country, but they might be reaping the benefits of it. Think about it.
Before Kennedy was elected president, Eisenhower was president. And right before Eisenhower left office, he warned the American public that a shadow was building, a shadow government, so to speak, was building in the background. He referred to it as a military-industrial complex. I want you to take a close listen to his words here.
We annually spend on military security alone more than the net income of all United States corporations. Now, this conjunction of an immense military establishment and a large arms industry is new in the American experience. The total influence, economic, political, even spiritual, is felt in every city, every state house, every office of the federal government.
The President of the United States can send the secret JSOC out into any country, and I think they're out there right now, into any country to conduct a special secret operation against that group of people to neutralize or whatever needs to be done in secret. That's the JSOC. The Director of National Intelligence, 17 federal agencies made up of tens of thousands of people are engaged in the shadow or secret government. 17 different intelligence agencies are part of the shadow government. It's massive. I'll show you the size here in a moment. Department of Homeland Security has its own secret branches. Department of State has its own secret branches. You remember when Secretary Hillary Clinton secretly ran guns into Libya, Benghazi, without anybody knowing about it, without Congress knowing about it? Those guns were given to the Free Syrian Army in Benghazi and eventually up outside of Syria. The Free Syrian Army, claiming to be moderate Islamic rebels, many of them morphed into, guess who? ISIS. ISIS is now using U.S. tanks, U.S. weapons, and trained U.S. fighters, some of which they got some of the weapons from Iraq when we bailed out of Iraq. But a lot of ISIS branched out of the Free Syrian Army, and they have a lot of our weapons that they're using that we sent over there. That was conducted in secret. Did anybody here vote for that? Did anybody here vote for arming the Free Syrian Army in Syria with weapons? I don't see any hands. I never do, because we didn't. We didn't even know what was going on. That is the shadow government. Defense Intelligence Agency, another branch of intelligence, were actually caught setting up a program to gain informants inside the United States to have U.S. citizens spy on other U.S. citizens. They were caught by Congress. The program was shut down. They were directly involved in the torture program, which was more than waterboarding, by the way. People died. It was a lot worse than just pouring water on people's heads. It was pretty bad. I think they're still under investigation for some of the things that they did to an extreme in the torture program. National Reconnaissance Office. All the satellites that are around the Earth, the spy satellites, the technology of which would blow your mind. So I'm just not going there. Let's just say that's another branch of the shadow government that's up there circulating around. And the technology that is out there, all the way down to nanotechnology, is mind-blowing. The National Geospatial Intelligence Agency, most people don't know this, but they approached Google and they assisted with a contract and paying a lot of money to help Google set up Google Earth. So, and we all know what Google Earth, they can come down and see what kind of tomatoes I'm growing if they want to. So the NGA, do you think that the federal government has a hand in Google Earth and coming down and looking at your house and your barn? They helped create it. So is there any individual privacy anymore? It's gone. It's dead. What they can do is incredible. And it increases by the quarter. National Geospatial Intelligence, the FBI, warrantless search program, where they can break, Robert Mueller authorized this, where they can break into your house without a warrant, search your house, and leave without you ever knowing they were there. Gross violation of the Fourth Amendment. I'll try to keep this short, but Robert Mueller testified under oath, fabricated 3 times. They only broke into Americans' house 47 times. They came back and said, well, sir, we happen to have evidence that it was probably more like 2,000. Now he's under oath. Oh, okay, it was 2,000. Or, sir, we have evidence that it's even more than that. Well, they got him up to 4,000 times that they'd broken into Americans' homes without a warrant. Finally, when they got him above that, they said, Director Mueller, you're not being straight with us. How many times has the FBI broken into Americans' homes? If you can imagine, his response was this: I don't remember. Okay. Do we buy that one? I don't think so. Under oath. We'll get into that a little bit later. So here we've got the shadow or secret government. I will get into the magnitude of this thing, the power of this thing, the unconstitutionality of this thing, and it is mind-blowing. That's just the shadow government. That's not the deep state.
So there was a document that is circulating right now that is really big. It's going around everywhere. People are asking and wondering.
What is this document?
It's called the Wilson Memo, is how you can find it online, or the Wilson Leak.
There it is. Jimmy's got it. The Wilson Memorandum. Use of human volunteers.
No.
Make sure that was it. Yeah.
No, that's not it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Admiral Wilson meets with this scientist, and they have this discussion, oddly enough, at special projects at EG&G. And if I remember, the document is from 2001. I'm telling everybody right now, it's real. And we'll see. My history is pretty good with saying if something's real or not, right? So here we go. The document comes out. They meet at EG&G Special Projects. In 1989, they stumble into a problem. This happens. They put the technology away, and then they bring it back out and see if material science has caught up and if they can make any progress. So this document kind of talks about this process. The big thing I get from it, and a lot of it's vindicating to Bob, and one of the things it's vindicating, besides the EG&G thing, is that private industry, so this guy's an admiral, and he says, I found out about your SAP, your Special Access Program. I need to know about it. And he's going to a private part of industry, and he is denied access. And he says, I should be running this program. And they were able to deny him access. So I think the takeaway here is, check it out. I'm telling you that is an actual correct, that is a leak. Now, everything said in that document, I don't know.
What are you talking about? What is said in that document specifically?
It's between a scientist and an admiral that are sitting, and they're having a meeting, and they're talking about the search for the UFO subject, the search to get Special Access Program access to all of these different things like reverse engineering programs. So in this document, they talk about it. I believe that this document, the person that went was employed by Robert Bigelow, one of the guys that has a couple orbiting satellites and all that stuff.
He's the guy who owns Skinwalker Ranch.
No, he's not.
No?
He was the guy that owned
He used
Skinwalker.
to own it. Okay.
Yeah, he used to own it. There's a new owner, and I interviewed him for my other film, but there's a new owner, and you'll be hearing a lot more about that soon. But there's stuff that you'll be hearing about Skinwalker Ranch soon because there's a new owner. Anyway, the whole point of this insertion here is just that document kind of validates a lot of this idea Bob just said, that they make a little progress, then they can't go anywhere. They tuck it away, and then they bring it back out 10 years later and start working on it. what is the limiting factor? I think Bob should speak on this, but it's the material science.
Yeah, it's really where physics is. So I can see them doing that. I mean, I didn't have any information on that, but I think what George uncovered is probably accurate. That we try and do what we can, and once we reach a roadblock, going, we really can't figure it out. It's just friggin' wait, put the thing away, wait for science to catch up, and a decade later, let's take the project out again and see. All right, now where can we go?
But there's got to be someone who remains informed, right?
Oh, yeah.
So you've got your scientists like you and Barry. You got your people that you compartmentalize. You got these people working on.
Yeah, there has to be some people that know everything.
You've got security, and then someone's going to be on the outside saying, "Hey, we need people to guard this building. Don't let anybody in for 10 years."
I think a lot of that is private industry, and I think that's how they keep it. Yeah, I think that's how they because the government is just so leaky. I think that's kind of what they're doing.
That's what the document kind of proves. You just articulated that it is in control of private industry.
What private industry?
That of a secret government, accountable to not a single elected official, including apparently the president himself. A shadowy government with its own Air Force, its own Navy, its own fundraising mechanism, and the ability to pursue its own ideas of the national interest, free from all checks and balances, and free from the law itself. It is an elitist vision of government that trusts no one, not the people, not the Congress, and not the cabinet. It is a vision of a government operated by persons convinced they have a monopoly on truth.
I make a distinction between the shadow government and the deep state. The shadow government would be the CIA and its manipulation of our elected government, Congress, the White House, and the judiciary, and these massive military-industrial contractors, and what I call the secret intelligence industrial complex that literally set foreign policy for the United States on behalf of the CIA with their CIA contracts and their military-industrial complex contracts. That's the deep state, in my view, in conjunction with the Department of State and other things that are running an unelected government and setting foreign policy with no input from the American people. From the very beginning up until now, the CIA has used these corporations to constantly engage in foreign wars. We see Ukraine. John Brennan, the director of the CIA, was making secret trips into Ukraine to help them build and do the coup in 2014. They're using $39 billion, that's an estimate the CIA is, of our tax dollars to do these things. And Americans have no idea that unelected officials are causing constant wars. That's big business. Vietnam was $1 trillion for the CIA and the contractors, for example. So they make a lot of money off this, and they make a lot of money off of wars and coups. Countries that have oil, like Iran, when they ruined Iran to keep Iran's oil.